Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Now, if you keep up with Duggar news, you probably know that all of the Duggar court documents were unsealed a couple weeks ago. And you guys, there's so much there. There's so much to unpack. As I was going through a lot of these documents, I came across one that I wanted to discuss with you guys. This one is called, it's a motion in limine to exclude evidence relating to the plaintiff's relationship with their parents. So they wanted to make sure when they sued the Springdale Police Department that if they took this to trial, that their relationship with their parents would not be a topic of discussion, which I thought was rather interesting. So first, I'm just going to go over some general information, and then I'll actually read the document with you guys. So Jill and her three sisters, they sued the city of Springdale for releasing police reports relating to the sexual molestation that went on in the Duggar home in the early 2000s. Judge Timothy L. Brooks dismissed the lawsuit. And in recent unsealed documents, Jill Dillard called her father, Jim Bob, verbally abusive. So that's why I wanted to go over this document, because she details her relationship with her father and says some things that I think we all knew. Like, we all knew these things, but she confirms them in the documents. Now, in recent years, Jill has gotten honest about her troubles with her family, but it's more so with her dad and not her mom. In several interviews, she's revealed that her relationship with her parents, Jim Bob and Michelle, has been pretty strained. And people that follow the show, fans that follow the show, they started kind of picking up on the fact that something was amiss there. Jill and Derek, they get married, they move out, and all of a sudden you could tell that there's tension there. You could tell that something is going on, and at first people thought that maybe it was due because Jill and Derek, they stepped away from the TV show Counting On, so people assumed that maybe it was due to that. But apparently there's more to the story. So in this unsealed document, Jill calls Jim Bob verbally abusive and details exactly when their relationship began to change, her and her dad's. Now, because the family, they're on this big TV show, they've been on TV for many, many years. Even after Jill and Derek left the show, obviously they still have a lot of eyes on them. They have a big social media following. So in the it was like 2017, when fans really started to pick up on the fact that something was going on between Jill and her parents, because her parents actually stopped acknowledging her and Derek on social media. Now, you guys know how the internet is. If one person unfollows another person, it's almost instant that it's picked up on and someone's tweeting about it and they're like, what's going on? Jim Bob and Michelle, or their fan page is not following Jill and Derek Dillard anymore. It's known immediately. So that was picked up on, and that was a topic of conversation. People's like, what's going on? Why have Jim Bob and Michelle stopped acknowledging Jill and Derek? Like, in any type of post, like Mother's Day post, like they'll leave Jill out of it. You know what I'm saying? So fans picked up on that. In 2019, Jill's husband, Derek, actually started to speak out about Jill's dad, mainly talking about how Jim Bob hoarded the earnings from the show and how he used his children for financial gain. Later in 2021, Jill really began to speak out about it as well. In an interview with Us Weekly, she outlined her decision to step away from the family and create that space between her and her family. Before that, they were super close. I mean, when she lived with her family, she has all these siblings, they're homeschooled, they're all super, super close. When she moves out and she gets married and they start having these issues, there was a point where things started to change, and she really made the decision, I have to back away. Like, I have to set boundaries with my family. Jill is revealing why she made the decision to step back away from that Duggar family lifestyle and being so tight-knit with the family. In these documents, she reveals how Jim Bob became verbally abusive and hostile towards her and her husband when they started making decisions that would benefit their own family, like decisions that were in the best interest of her and Derek and their family. That's really when Jim Bob started to become verbally abusive to her, according to Jill. Also, Jill says in the court filings that Jim Bob was very controlling. She went on to suggest that the Duggar family home may have been repressive. However, Jill did not share similar concerns about her mother. So she speaks about her father, controlling and abusive, and then she speaks about her mother. But either way, I thought that it was interesting that they wanted to keep this out of the trial against the Springdale Police Department. They did not want, in a deposition, and maybe this may be why. Usually when you file these motions to keep certain things out of court, it's because you know that it will be brought up or it's already been brought up. So possibly in a deposition, I have not read all their depositions yet, but I plan to. So possibly in a deposition, maybe they brought up to Jill, like her relationship with her dad, and maybe that's why this was filed. But either way, there were reasons why they did not want this to go into court. They did not want this to be a part of the trial. They did not want, in front of a jury, them asked, or Jill asked specifically, how she felt about her dad. They thought that was important. So let's go ahead. We're going to go over the documents. So like I said, it's called a motion in limine to exclude evidence relating to the plaintiff's relationship with their parents. It's 5 pages. I'll read it really quick. At plaintiffs and their spouses' deposition, the City of Springdale and Washington County defendants ask purely irrelevant questions about plaintiff's relationship with their parents. See, I knew it must have been something like that. Plaintiffs are 4 sisters who suffered sexual abuse at the hands of their brother when they were minor children. This litigation arose from defendants' improper release of confidential official reports documenting the details of the plaintiff's sexual molestation. Plaintiffs' claim at trial include invasion of privacy, public disclosure of private fact, invasion of privacy, intrusion upon seclusion, tort of outrage, none of which involves plaintiff's relationship with their parents. Evidence relating to plaintiff's relationship with their parents, including plaintiffs or their spouse's opinion of their plaintiff's parents, are irrelevant to the plaintiff's claims and would only serve to unfairly prejudice plaintiffs and their father, Jim Bob Duggar, who is a witness in this case, and to waste the jury's time. So that is interesting. He's a witness to the case, probably one of their witnesses. So they don't want, if he's one of their witnesses that's going to, kind of testify on their behalf, they probably don't want to be questioned like, well, you don't even like him, or you don't have a good relationship with him. So he's abusive, he's controlling. So why do you think he's credible on the stand, right? So I guess that makes sense now. Because this evidence is irrelevant and violates Rule 403, it should be excluded at trial. Defendants depose all 4 plaintiffs and 2 of their spouses. At their depositions, counsel for defendants asked plaintiffs and their spouse a host of irrelevant questions about plaintiffs' relationship with their parents, Jim, Bob, and Michelle. A copy of the portions of the deposition transcripts are attached as exhibits to the accompanying declaration of Stephen L. Bledsoe. Below are but a few examples of defendants' irrelevant questions about plaintiffs' relationship with their parents. Question number 1, what plaintiffs or their husbands think of their parents' handling of the molestation. Question number 2, whether plaintiff's father, Jim Bob Duggar, verbally abused his children and is controlling. Question number 3, whether plaintiff's Jill Dillard's relationship with her parents become pretty toxic. Question number 4, whether plaintiff Jill Dillard's husband, Derek Dillard, believes plaintiff's parents have treated him and his family poorly. Question number 5, whether plaintiffs experience repression and threats from their parents. Question number 6, whether plaintiff's parents approve of plaintiff's lifestyle choices, such as having a nose ring, wearing pants, or drinking, and whether their parents' disapproval led to the confrontations or dispute or estrangement. So that's interesting there because, okay, so obviously they were asked these questions at their deposition, to which I'm sure Jill had to answer honestly to, because I'm wondering if maybe the attorneys have watched some of the interviews that Jill has given where she has said those things. Or maybe they've read articles where Jill has spoken out to say, my parents don't support XYZ or whatever, and that's why they ask these questions. Evidence related to plaintiff's relationship with their parents is not relevant and violates Rule 403. Relevance, evidence related to plaintiff's relationship with their parents is inadmissible at trial because it is irrelevant. Rule 402 of the Federal Rule of Evidence provides that evidence which is not related is not admissible. Evidence is relevant if it has any tendency to make a fact that is of consequences to the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. Evidence of plaintiff's relationship with their parents does not make any fact more or less probable in the jury's determination of whether the defendants committed intentional torts aimed at the plaintiffs by releasing the official reports about plaintiff's molestation. Therefore, such evidence is inadmissible at trial. Even if evidence of plaintiff's relationship with the parents was relevant to plaintiff's claims, which it is not, it would still be inadmissible because its probative value is substantially outweighed by its potential prejudicial effect. Rule 403 of the Federal Rules of Evidence provide that although relevant, the court may exclude evidence if its probative value is substantially outweighed by a danger of unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, misleading the jury, undue delay, wasting time, or needlessly presenting cumulative evidence. The trial court has broad discretion in determining the relevancy and admissibility of evidence. The advisory committee, note Rule 403, explains that unfair prejudice are issued in Rule 403 is an undue tendency to suggest decision on an improper basis, commonly though not necessarily an emotional one. Here, the evidence related to the plaintiff's relationship with their parents has no real probative value, but could cause serious prejudice to the plaintiffs and their father, who is a witness in the case. For example, members of the jury may base their determination of Jim Bob's celebrity as a witness on allegations that Jim Bob is verbally abusive or engaged in behavior towards his children the defendant's counsel have characterized as toxic, repressive, or controlling, rather than based upon the witness testimony at trial. Evidence that any of the plaintiffs have an estranged relationship with their parents could also unfairly prejudice plaintiffs, confuse the issue, and waste time. When weighed against the evidence lack of probative value, it should be excluded under Rule 403. For the reasons stated herein, plaintiffs respectfully request that the court grant this motion and exclude all evidence relating to plaintiff's relationship with their parents at trial. So reading that, like, a lot of it does make sense. Like, that's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about their relationship with their dad and why they don't have a good relationship with their dad. We're here to figure out if what the city of Springdale, if what they did by releasing those documents, if they violated the law, if the girls have an actual right to be suing them. You know, that's why they're there. So their relationship with Jim Bob, I don't think it should matter. But if he is a witness, a part of me is like, well, if he's a witness, then the jury has some sort of right to kind of understand what kind of guy he is. But really, in any trial, the jury does not get, knowledge about the witnesses. They're not supposed to have any, right? They're not supposed to have any knowledge about the witness other than what that witness says on the stand and at their deposition. They're not supposed to know if the witness has ever, broken the law, or, they're not supposed to know if that witness is a good parent, or normally you don't get that information. So maybe I do agree with it. I think I do agree with it that it's not necessary here. In any other trial, you don't get to know that information. You don't get to know background information on your witnesses, only what they said at depositions and only what, you're going to be asked at trial. So if they're a good parent, doesn't matter or not. So yeah, I agree with this one. Also, it is interesting, to learn that these were the questions that they asked at the deposition, which would seem to not really make sense in my mind, and maybe in someone else's they would. Like, maybe the defendants have a reason for asking these questions about Jill's relationship with her dad. Maybe they were going somewhere with that. Maybe they were trying to make him look uncredible as a witness. I don't know, but either way, I feel like asking her that at the deposition would be kind of triggering. I don't know, would be hard on her. She's already there, probably stressed, because when you go to a deposition for a lawsuit, you're just going to be anxious and stressed. So then when you're like put on the spot about your relationship with your dad, you're sure enough going to feel some sort of anxiety, like even more so, right? So I don't know. You guys leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I thought this was an interesting one. The girls, they filed this motion to keep their relationship with their dad out of the trial. You guys leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you guys feel like they should have filed this motion, like they did the right thing? Or do you guys feel like their relationship with their dad, it matters? Let me know. Make sure you give this video a huge thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.